Welcome back, guys. Oh, my lighting's weird. Hold on. That's better. So, there's been what I would say some misconceptions about me and my understanding of ghosts. I fully believe in paranormal and ghosts. I've had experiences of my own that I'll talk about in another video, but I dislike people who fake it because I do believe in them, and the people who fake it make it harder to convince people that there should be actual investigations around the idea and concept of spiritualism and spirits and reality. Like, it's not that I believe in everything that's talked about, but I guess what I would qualify it as is I believe that we don't fully understand the reality that we live in. I don't think anybody would argue with the idea that we don't fully grasp everything, and there's a possibility that anything could be out there, and we should experiment given that there is as many people who believe in ghosts as there are. So I guess what I'm saying ultimately is I believe that there's a possibility for a lot of things. But because of a show that I hate more than any other show in the world, I absolutely hate people who fake and pretend in spirits. And that show is no other than Travel Channel's own Ghost Adventures. This show has single-handedly made me hate ghost hunters. And I loved Ghost Hunters. The show Ghost Hunters, it's what got me into ghost hunting, which I was into ghosts way before that show ever came out. But Ghost Hunters was fantastic for me. This show was its parallel opposite. I hate everything about it. So, I'm going to overanalyze and hate on this one video that they put out for no reason other than to show you how much I hate this show. In my opinion, this is the most money-baity show ever put on TV. The main host of this show is just a frat boy football playing all-star kid trying to pretend to be a goth guy that pretends to be interested in ghosts while bullying his two friends on the set of this TV show that he's the host of, just for fame and fortune. And I cannot for the life of me believe for a second that he actually believes in anything that he is talking about. It is so blatantly obvious to me that this man hates what he is doing and is just doing this for the money that it hurts, and I hate him. If I am wrong, then that is great, and I could probably get along with him, but I don't think I am. There was an episode that I saw once that, like, I was halfway into this show and I would watch it, and then there was an episode where, like, they spent a solid 15 minutes talking about this light and this window that passed by. And then it ended up being that the window faced a road and you could see cars through it. And very dramatically, they had a full cut scene of like, debunked, come on. And it's insane. The show's insane. He's insane. Everything about it's insane. And I want to take this show on. I feel like this is my life challenge.
Ball of light move from.
So I am 4 minutes and 22 seconds, 20 seconds roughly into this video before the first ghost event happens in their most terrifying moments video. So apparently they're down there with this guy named Boots. I imagine that he's probably a cat, so I'm going to call him Puss. And apparently a ball of light has traveled from this doorway and then disappeared into his neck. But if you'll follow me on this lovely adventure,
room and disappear near my neck.
You can see the light go there. And if you want to know the way you fake these things with the lights, you just get a mirror and you get somebody with a light and a very sensitive night vision camera. And the same way you like trying to flash, like shine a light off of a watch, shine it onto a wall, and you just kind of cut it off. But I don't even know if that's what's happening here. It might be dust, who knows. But if when you see it here,
light move.
I'm going to try to get my spacebar over here so I can do this the right way. When you see it in the outside video, and if you're looking kind of carefully here, you can see the light orb still going. It's not disappearing into his neck. They just don't pay attention. to their
Are you
own
touching him?
to their
Right
own
after
footage.
I ask, are you here, Mr. Boots?
Let's see, where is it?
Caught this unexplained
There it
ball
went.
of light move
There it
from
went.
Mr. Boots'
And there it
room.
went. You see it? Anybody else see it? Just me?
Boots. We caught this unexplained ball of light
There it went.
move from
And there it went. Yeah, it still goes in front of his face. So it's probably somebody just moving their watch, moving around, moving their hundreds of cameras around that are in these frames. There's these lights on these cameras.
Boots.
Probably, honestly, the camera of this guy that we are looking at may be reflecting off of something, like maybe this watch, maybe this, as he's turning and moving here. See how he's turning and this is reflecting off this? I bet you anything that's what's happening. I would bet you almost anything that the light is reflecting off of this thing that he is holding. The light from this camera hitting that, hitting this wall, going out. Almost guarantee it. Anyhow, I'm going to see what the next thing is. Probably another 5 minutes into the video for the next scary thing to happen in their most terrifying videos. God, I hate this show. All right, so the next thing that they have, which was actually right after that one, I mean literally right after, is that their magnetic EMF reader goes up to like a 10, and then he absolutely loses his mind. Because, God forbid, he act like a professional in any manner for even 5 seconds. Well, then they show you scary things. But these things were not made to detect ghosts. And while they might be a thing that a spirit may be able to manipulate, they also can legitimately detect a battery if you've ever used one. If you have a battery that is just like out, they just detect so many things. They are very easy to manipulate. In an older building, especially like what you're seeing here with this cement wall, they often have electrical wires just kind of ran haphazardly because that's the only way to really run them while also preserving the building. So these will pick up those while you're moving around or just kind of at any time, or somebody will flip a light switch someplace and all of a sudden this thing's losing its mind for a second or two, or a radio wave will pass through and this thing's losing its mind, or it's just, they're very haphazard. And the only thing that I would say is if they do detect spirits, and the only way to really use them would be if you're getting consistent results from questions that you are asking, like a line of questioning, not just, like if you move it and it goes off, no, but if it's sitting still and it's reacting to questions you are asking, not things you are doing, but questions you are asking out loud, maybe I'd say maybe. But frankly, I just think that there's a lot better of options than these. I think that they are way overhyped bad detectors. But that is my opinion, and I am just a guy on YouTube.
Of the Zozo D.
But yeah, back to trying to find the next thing that happens. So they're going to another person's house, and if you've ever studied at all people who actually do ghost hunts, and not just like, it's not called ghost hunts, it's called, like paranormal investigations or spiritual investigations or investigations. But one of the things they'll tell you, people who take it very, very seriously and who have done it on a professional level, like gotten government funding kind of professional level, like written books about it professional level, like people who have doctorates that then went into paranormal kind of thing, not, Zach here, but get credited witnesses. So this guy apparently summoned a demon through a Ouija board, which I've heard people make statements about Ouija boards that the fact that you have one in your house or in a building makes it haunted and possessed, which I want to point out that makes pretty much every Walmart in the country or in the world, at least that I've ever been in, demonically possessed, because they sell them in the toy section by the kids department. because they're toys. So, not saying they don't necessarily work at all. What I'm saying is they're just not that scary. And oftentimes, people like these individuals who play with them and use them will then really want ghost hunters to come in because they've scared themselves and freaked themselves out more than anything. Or they've just wanted this the whole time. So just, that's the moment once you know that they've done that you need to take it with a grain of salt and really consider the testimonies of the people that are giving it to you. You can still kind of look at the house, but I would immediately kind of be more of a skeptic than a believer. But again, I'm just a guy on YouTube. So I guess they're scared to go back in the house because he got possessed while doing the Ouija board. And hear me out. Drugs. Just thought. But like, don't know the guy at all. But if I had to make an educated assumption based off of what they're telling me and the way that they're talking, I would say he probably did this as a fun game and did drugs at the same time. Because the story is kind of weird and it seemed kind of off. And she's crying and he's not. And if I was a pen person, like I got possessed, I would be pretty emotional. Kind of seems like he's trying to not talk about something else. And he feels like he's under a lot of pressure in the situation. And I'm not playing you the video because, you know, they don't want you to play their content. So I'm just kind of telling you about what's going on. But you can go watch this for yourself. It's just, again, you know, they sell these at the toy department. Do you know how many people would be possessed on a daily? We wouldn't be talking about hypothetical possessions anymore. We would be going, yeah, possessions happen. If every person that played with a Ouija board got possessed that easily, it would just be like a thing that we talked about. Like, they're just all over the place. I have one on the door of my house as decor, and it's just not, they're just not scary, and they don't do things. I remember as a kid, people talking about if you burn them, you'll hear the screaming of souls. So remember that are being released. So like if a Walmart burns down, all the trapped souls are being released through the Ouija board department because, God, there's like 40 of them going down with that sucker. It blows my mind. Blows my mind, man, how much people think Ouija boards are crazy when they are sold in the toy department of Walmart. So, yeah, now they're at the door of the house, and they hear a strange noise.
There. And this happened all the time. What was that?
Which, if you ask me, again, as a guy on YouTube, could have been somebody walking around the house. I imagine there's a lot of people, and any number of sounds could have happened. Maybe somebody already in the house that could have made something happen. Or a thermostat turning on an air conditioner or a water heater or any number of appliances, like a refrigerator getting ready to kick on or anything along those lines. That's kind of a very similar noise.
Nothing there. And this happened all the time.
If you've ever heard that with an older thermostat for an older house, like that's what mine sounds like with my old house. But yeah, I don't. Why would that be the noise that a ghost goes to? That's still like always the question. It's like, why would a ghost do this? Right? You ever think to yourself that whenever you're watching these shows, why would a ghost do that? You should think that to yourself sometimes. Why would a ghost do that? Oh, or an animal in the house. Like a mouse, or a rat, or a squirrel, or a raccoon, or possum, or this guy's wig, or this girl's wig, or Zach's ego. Could have been Zach's ego finally jumping out of his body. Could have been that. Just want to point out, air conditioner. I just said it could have been a thermostat kicking something on. air conditioner. If that has an automatic sensor in it, would have been that. So they were downstairs and they heard footsteps. Now this is the story that he's telling. He was upstairs in a safe room, because they have a room that apparently was safe, because in a house that is very haunted with ghosts that attack you. She looks really pretty in that angle. She looks evil in that angle, but pretty. Apparently in a house with ghosts that attack you, there's a room that is very safe. But he hears her scream, comes out of the safe room, looks down the stairs to see the ghost pick her up and carry her. So, she screams. There's a pause between her screaming, long enough for him to get out of the room, come around, look down the stairs, see her from down the top of the stairs. And that's when the ghost picks her up. So we don't know what established the original scream. Alright, I just wanted to get the context in line. I'm going to keep listening. I'll tell you guys what I find out. So, she screamed. He left the safe room, came around the corner, looked down the stairs, saw the demon pick her up, and then dragged her to the basement. And he could hear her screaming from the basement. Which, again, if you've never heard me say this from another one of my videos, if you've never watched any of my other videos, why is everybody convinced that ghosts be in the basement? Why would ghosts be in the basement except for to scare you? Like, unless you're just already scared of your basement. There's no other reason for ghosts to ever be in the basement. Why would they go to the basement when you're not in the basement unless you are scared of the basement and they just know you're scared of the basement? It doesn't make sense. In life, humans aren't in their basement all the time, so why would, when they die, they'd be like, you know where I want to hang out now that I'm dead? All day, every day, all the time? I'm gonna go to the basement, yo. It doesn't happen. Unless there is a logical reason why they would want to be in the basement, doesn't make sense to me. So, I'm gonna go ahead and say, it doesn't make sense why there's so many people that are so convinced that ghosts are in the basement all the time. But anyhow, I will digress, and I will say, my dog has a squeaky toy. I am sorry. Yeah. There is a lot of time between when he heard her scream the first time and when he saw her get picked up, in my opinion, unless Home Dude's the Flash. In which case, how could he not have caught her? But alright, anyhow. So I guess that on their investigation of the house, nothing must have happened, because once they told their story, it just cut to the next haunted place. So I'm guessing they found nothing. And now they're locked in a hotel. I think it's a hotel. Some large decorated building. Very old.
Someone down here? What is that?
And they hear that creaking sound, which freaks them all out because, God forbid, they act like normal professional people. My guess is, in a quiet building, and you hear squeaking like that, maybe it's the wind blowing on a window or a swing set outside and you're really close to the outdoors, or like, I don't know, any single metal thing rubbing against another metal thing because of wind or draft or anything. But the fact that that sound made into their most terrifying moments is impressive. That makes me almost believe that this show is actually trying to be real and not completely faked, because that is the most unterrifying thing I've ever heard in my entire life. At all. It's just a sound of like a squeaky door. They're like, oh my god, it's a squeaky door. It's going to make it our most terrifying video ever. That's impressive. That actually does impress me. So maybe they've actually earned back a little bit of my respect today. Maybe. I'm still making fun of them though, because like, show's still stupid compared to like what it could be. All right, so Zach is in the kitchen and he asked it to make noise in the kitchen, and they heard bangs apparently at the same time, allegedly, in the basement. It's
almost as if when
Zach asked them to make a noise in the kitchen. They're making noises in the basement.
So maybe when the ghosts were alive, that was the kitchen. Just thought. But also, see that? Maybe. That one, maybe. That one, maybe. That one I don't have any reason to discredit. I mean, it could have been something getting knocked over by like an animal. It could have also been just a person faking it. It could have also been somebody walking around on the floor above them. It could have been somebody dropping something on the floor above them. But also it was in response to a direct question, which is what I always say is the most logical proof of evidence. It is something that responds. It's logical. It's reasonable. There's some kind of explanation behind it. Do I think it was real? Probably not. It was probably a dude upstairs dropping something. It sounded kind of like a notebook hitting the floor. But like, it was the best thing we've had out of the show. So I'm 11 minutes in. And there we go. I got one in that I liked a little bit. And I still hate this show a lot. Because I really hate Zach. I really, really do. And I think more people should talk about that he needs just to not be the host of the show. What I think this show should have been, and could have been, was just a show following people who actually care about paranormal things. Just not just spirits, but just, paranormal things, and really investigating what they potentially could be, instead of just like fear baiting, which is what this show's ultimately become, is just fear baiting. Just let's put on some scary music, let's amp up people's tension, and let's fear bait. Instead, they could have done a more Discovery Channel-like show with some more logic, some more reasoning, some explanations behind things, more experimental testing. They have funding to actually do experiments to try to analyze and understand what is going on. And instead, they've just turned this into I don't even know, just a show and bullying and just not anything. Like, they could really do work here. They could really find some things out and be examples of what this community should be. Show that things aren't always haunted, but rather probably it's just in your head and not something you should be scared of. But instead, they scare the people. Instead of giving you a piece of comfort, they instill fear in you. When in reality, if ghosts are real and your house is haunted by, let's say, your grandma's spirit, why are you scared of your grandma's ghost? Was she a horrible monster person? Did you buy the house of a serial killer? What is the reasoning why you should be scared? How bad was the person that lived in your house that died? What is the concept of this? I don't get it. I never will. These shows have become dramatic, psychotic, and frankly self-indulgent. And I really want to make fun of them more. And I hope you guys do too. So, hopefully you'll subscribe. Yeah, you're welcome. That's how I transition to that. And like the video. Comment on the video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I don't know if it'll be a Ghost Hunters one, but, or Ghost Adventures one, but, hopefully, maybe. I mean, I really want to make fun of it more. See you guys there. Bye. Wait, I gotta remember how buttons work.